Okay. It seems like the doorbell started to slowly ring. So we can go ahead and get started. Again, welcome to our fiscal year 23-24 quarter 2 hospital liaison webinar. Today we are bringing to you a very requested topic. This webinar is called Empowering Families on a Breastfeeding Journey, a multidisciplinary approach to enhancing support in bedside lactation. We also have the speaker of this webinar, Lynnette Bello. For those of you who do not have the pleasure to know who she is a Welcome Baby Program Supervisor at Memorial Care Miller Children's and Women's Hospital in Long Beach. I can't think of a better person to provide this webinar, as she knows and supports your role in this program. Before we dive in, I do want to provide a couple of general logistical announcements. As always, we ask for you to keep your cameras on for the majority of this webinar. We love to be able to interact with you and not just a dark square in our screen. Lynnette will provide opportunities to ask any questions throughout the webinar. Just please ensure to raise your hand or drop your questions in the chat box. If there are any technical questions as we're going through the webinar, feel free to send me a private message. Oh, I hear. Oh, there you go. This webinar is being recorded. This presentation, along with the slides, will be posted in our Stronger Family blogs in about a week or so. I'll be sure to send you all an email when that blog goes up live, in case you want to return to the webinar and watch it again. Once again, if you are a Welcome Baby Hospital Liaison or Hospital Liaison Lead, this is a required training for you. Don't forget to sign in the chat box with your name and site. Lastly, at the end of this training, I will be providing an evaluation link for this webinar. We ask for you to take about 2 to 3 minutes to complete this evaluation. This feedback is not just extremely valuable for our trainers, but also for us. Keep in mind that these webinars are planned based on the current needs of information from you or the families that you serve. Are there any questions in regards to the announcements I just made? Wonderful. I'll start us off by formally introducing our speaker for today. As previously mentioned, Lynnette Bello is the Welcome Baby Program Supervisor at Memorial Care Miller Children's Women's Hospital over at Long Beach. She has worked in the field of lactation and maternal child health for the past 18 years in Orange County and in LA County. Lynnette started her career as a home visitor for the Race Foundation in Orange County with the Bridges program. From there, she went on to complete her International Board Certified Lactation Consultant certification to help support families and advocate for breastfeeding. Lynnette worked as the lead of the Baby Friendly Initiative at St. Mary Medical Center prior to her current role. In addition to her supervisory role for Welcome Baby, she is also practicing as a lactation consultant at St. Mary Medical Center in Long Beach and at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles. Lynnette also leads the Breastfeed LA's Filipino Baby Cafe over at Didi Diner. She remains an avid supporter of home visitation and the benefit it brings to the community. Please help me receive Lynnette with a warm welcome.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. I didn't realize we were going to do the whole intro, but thank you so much. I'm excited to be here, you guys. This is a labor of love, and I hope to answer any questions you guys have. As Jennifer mentioned earlier, there have been quite a few questions that have come up, and I know as HLs, you guys hear a lot of the same questions across the board about breastfeeding and you know, just general support things. So we wanted to make sure that we addressed any questions that you guys might have. So thank you, and thank you, Jennifer, for your help. And excited to be here.
Okay, ready for me to pull up the presentation?
Sure. Full disclosure, I'm working at home today. It is parent-teacher conference week, so I had to pick up the kids early. So you might hear them in the background. You might see the dogs in the background. I have Biggie, Bella, and then my kids are Aiden and Frankie. So they may pop in and out. So again, I'm very excited to be here. And again, disclosure, you're going to see a lot of pictures of the Bello kids because that's an easiest way to not have to do copyright. So this is Aiden when he was little. And like I mentioned, this is just based off of some questions that have come up. So again, thanks for allowing me to do this and thinking of me, LABBN, to help present. Next slide. Thank you. And Jennifer did an awesome intro, but just in case, I'm a breastfeeding advocate and I have been for some time. I'm a mom of 2. Again, these are Aiden and Fergie, little guys. I'm a PM over at Miller's. Welcome, baby. I'm sure I've seen a lot of you in meetings, if not on the floor. I see Wendy, hello. And then my team. I'm excited to be here because I think I was telling Jennifer, a lot of the times when presenters present, they often don't know the background to the programs. And so I find it kind of easy because we know what we do in Welcome Baby. So it's kind of cool that this is specifically for you guys. I know there's a lot of, might be a couple of other people from different organizations in different roles within Welcome Baby. So I've included a lot of information for you guys as well. So hopefully it helps. I'm an IBCLC. And as she mentioned, at so not only Welcome Baby over at Miller's, but I FLC on the floor at St. Mary Medical Center in Long Beach, Cedar Sinai. And I also lead a couple of students for Breastfeed LA and host a baby cafe on the weekends for Filipino mommies. So next slide, please. Objectives, I know Jennifer sent this out, but ideally this is designed for the HLs. I know a lot of questions come up and we want to make sure we give you guys as much information as possible to answer any questions that moms have and to kind of just get us all on the same page. So you'll be learning some knowledge base, some terminology and supportive information. I'll also address some questions that I've heard have come up multiple times. We'll investigate some of the causes and support for common lactation concerns. And then most importantly, you know, Welcome Baby, we love warm handoffs. I also want to include some resources available in the community for moms in the postpartum period. I also want to note that all practices at each hospital is different. So I've tried to be very thoughtful in making sure that we leave some space for you guys to learn about each site. So what I'm speaking on behalf of is like my perspective. Again, it may be different based off of the site that you're at. Next slide, please. Just a quick agenda. So I'll talk a lot about the prenatal lactation experience. I know, again, it's not where we typically see the moms in the HL role, but I like to just kind of give everyone like a basic understanding of what we are teaching mommies and then what to expect so that you can kind of guide moms in the right direction. The next portion of it is talking in the postpartum period. Again, what you guys are hearing at bedside, common issues that occur in the bedside period, and then what to do after a mom goes home. And then you can give her anticipatory guidance on what to expect and resources to do. Again, this is a unique opportunity. As a lactation consultant, I know there are a lot of hands on the floor that are helping with the mom. And I've always said like, man, I wish all of us were on the same page. All of us were saying the same thing. This is my opportunity to do so. So I'm excited. In the meeting, you'll see like common areas that I've highlighted for teaching moments, because these are common concerns that we're hearing from moms. You'll see it in the pink, and then I'll provide some context around it. And then research moment. So I want you guys to go back to your sites to actually learn about the process if you don't already know so. So I'll kind of highlight those sections too. Thank you. Next slide. And I just wanted to add an accessibility check-in area. If you guys, need to take a moment to yourselves to make sure you have everything you need. Believe we're here for like where we next time is Jennifer.
Lynnette, you're kind of breaking off a little bit. Just so you know.
Yeah. Fatima, will you be joining peer-to-peer?
Let me see.
Yeah, you're breaking up.
Can you guys hear me better?
Is everyone having the same?
Oh no. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, if you wanna maybe just check your Oh, she's gonna come back in. 1 second. We want to
Can
make
you guys
sure.
hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so it may cut in and out. Let me just see if I can switch over to my Wi-Fi real quick. I don't know why it wasn't.
Okay.
I'm hoping it doesn't kick me out. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, here we can hear you perfectly fine.
Okay, great. Okay. So I just turned off my camera just because I think it's adding to the bandwidth. So I'm here. I promise you can hear me. Yeah. So if it cuts out again, please just, interject, let me know if I have to back up or anything. And I talk really fast when I'm nervous. So slow me down if I go way too quick. But essentially this PowerPoint is just to let you guys know I have so much information to provide to you guys. So if you need to use the restroom, grab a drink, take a phone call, please take care of yourself. There will be literally a 30-second break just for a quick stretch because I want you guys to get as much information as possible. And then also this is meant to be more of a discussion. So if you guys have questions throughout, feel free to unmute, ask away. If you want to put it in the chat, I'm open to that too. Because I want you guys to be able to ask the pertinent questions that we have and make sure it means something to you guys, So I'm open. Next slide, please. Okay, so in following suit with LABBN, I know you guys love these Mentimeters. I have a Mentimeter. So I wanted to see, I'm not able to share, Jennifer.
Okay, so I can pull it up for you. If you can share your Menti with me, maybe I can pull it up.
Let's do that. Do I just send you the link?
I believe there's an option for you to share that Menti with me. Because if you created that Menti, it might you might have you might be the only one to have access to share it.
Okay, let me see. Sorry, guys.
Okay.
So far in the meantime?
I'm sorry?
Does anyone have any questions in the meantime? Okay. Were you able to grab it?
Let me see. No, because it might just I might be another participant in your Mentimeter. If you want, you can ask the questions here and then everybody can enter their answers in the chat box. That can be an option too.
Okay. Or let's see. Are you able to pull back from your presentation, like stop sharing the PowerPoint to see if I can do it?
Yeah, you have full access now.
Oh, lovely. Can you guys see that okay?
Yes.
Yay! Okay, so everyone can pull up menti.com and put in the code. It's 17235814. Just have a quick couple of questions for you guys to kind of give me some background as to who I'm working with today. I think I see 3 people in there. And it looks like we have a total of, I can't see right now, 34 participants.
You have 9 participants as of right now, but yes, there are 34 in this call.
Perfect, thank you. I like the thumbs up. I'll get a couple more minutes. Can you guys hear me clearer this way? Okay, great. Almost there. I'll give it another like 10 seconds. Does anyone have any difficulty logging into that? You know, we're all Minty pros at this point. Okay. So I think that's a good chunk of us. So what I'm going to do is just kind of toggle through, but I want to get to know you guys. So let me see if I can go back to this. If you guys can go through the list, it looks very extensive, but I wanted to make sure I represented all of the hospitals that we have here. If you guys just kind of are able to go through to tell us which agency you're from, I think that'll help out, kind of give context and a visual of who's here today. You'll also see I was able to add in a little section for our oversight entity, as well as any other agencies that might be here today that I didn't list. If you're not associated with the hospital directly, I think that's them. Oh, a couple more coming in. Great. I promise, guys, it's not a quiz. I'm just asking you guys. Awesome. Sounds good. We have a good chunk of a little bit of everything, right? Exciting. Cool. Okay, so next question is, what roles are represented today? So if you're a home visitor, or if you're HL, obviously in HL, I know at different sites we call it a hospital navigator. So try to incorporate all of it. So you have any RNs, any parent coach leads, parent coaches, or if you're from a different agency, I also looped in the family support worker. If you're a home visitor, you can add that piece. If you're leadership, all the program managers or clinical soups, please put that in. Any OSs, any admin, any other roles that I didn't think of. And then our oversight, I don't want you guys to be not included. So you're in there too. Cool. I'm coming in. I'm excited. Great. Thank you guys. And then just for oh, here we go. We're still going. But safe to say, it's a good chunk of everyone in here is an HL or hospital navigator. So thank you guys for coming. I know it's mandatory for you guys, but again, I hope you guys take a little bit away from here, finding it a little easier to talk to moms about certain scenarios. So thanks for coming. I'm going to skip over to the next one. My question is, how long have you worked at the sites that you're at currently? Nice. Okay, this is kind of a good little spread. I like that. I also fall in the 5 to 10 year area. In the 10-year plus group, I was going to put like oldies but goodies or the OG group, but I was like, oh, I don't know. But I know we have some sites like not ABPH, but MCH Access. I know you guys have been together for some time, so I wanted to include that space and give you guys a shout out, man. So thank you. Okay. Next part is, how long have you worked with prenatal and postpartum families? I realize that not everyone's, just worked with Welcome Baby or Select Home Visitation, that we've worked with, you could work with families prior to that, your current role. So I wanted to see how long everyone's worked with families. And I think it's just that. We have a lot of people in here who've worked with families for some time. So great. A lot of experience. I'm excited. Cool. And then lactation experience. Wanted to see who are lactation educators, if we have any IBLCs in here, and if anyone's currently in training, that could be with a variation of agencies, UC San Diego, Breastfeed LA are the top two that I can think of. There might be some other ones. So if you're in training, you can mark that. We have another IBLC in here. Who is that? I don't know if you're raising your hand. That's cool. If you want to chime in and add some stuff, I'm happy to. Good. We have a lot of CLE, LES people, and then the ones who are not quite yet trained. Let's get you there. Cool. And then I just wanted to know a little bit about the hospitals that you guys work at. Does your, or if you know, does your team have, blah, blah, blah. Does your hospital have a lactation team? So if it's yes, are you familiar with the team and are you guys connected? Or yes, they have one, but you're not connected with the team yet, or no, or not applicable. Great. Oh, great. So I feel like I'm preaching to the choir today, which is not a bad thing, but I'm glad that you guys are all connected with your lactation teams because they are, that's awesome. Because I think that's the largest piece of what we're going to be talking about today is referring back to them and knowing when when to refer back to them. Great. And that's it for that. Thank you. So I'm going to stop and we're going to go back to the PowerPoint. Thank you. I think that kind of helps give me a little bit of background. So as I mentioned, a lot of what we're going to be talking about right now is just mainly like background information, just so that kind of everyone's on the same page. I know, like I mentioned, I feel like I'm preaching to the choir, so I may go a little faster through this to actually answer the questions that you guys have, if there are any questions afterwards. But usually what I like to talk to families and providers about is just who we talk about when we talk about experts and who backs up breastfeeding. So a lot of the companies that we talk about are the WHO, so the WHO, UNICEF, the AAP, and the CDC all talk about breastfeeding with varying levels of support in terms of like how long we should be breastfeeding our little ones. So they talk about exclusive breastfeeding for up to 6 months. And then thereafter, adding complementary foods. Well, the WHO talks about it being baby up until 2 years old, and then UNICEF and AAP kind of vary, but generally allowing the baby to continue to feed as long as mom and baby find it mutually agreeable. So a lot of the times when we have families who, have questions, talk about recommendations, they may ask us at bedside. A lot of the times when I provide information, I always back it up by saying the AAP recommends this. That way, for the ones that want the reassurance, that they can look it up themselves. Next slide, please. Breastfeeding benefits. So ideally, I've just took all the information that we would give to a parent and like shove it into one slide. I know there's a lot of families that want to know the benefits of breastfeeding, want to know the benefits of keeping the baby with them. So I won't read every single one of these, but I like to highlight some of the ones that I usually use at bedside. So it's the healthiest and safest way to feed the baby. Antibodies help fight off viruses and bacteria. That was one of my biggest selling points, especially during COVID, especially during cold and flu season. And then we also talk about protecting the baby's gut from germs and diseases. So I kind of tie that back into the top two. It allows baby and mommy to bond. It's free, essentially. And then there's no waste. And sometimes I like to hit them up with knowing how much it costs to actually do exclusive formula feeding in the first year. Now, this is a rough estimate. It's roughly $3,000, but this is old data. So I'm pretty sure based off of things that have been going on lately, we know that's probably a little bit more expensive. And then again, our little one pictures, again, shout out to my daughter who is at the bottom picture right there, fresh out the womb and doing some skin to skin right away. We'll change. And you can hear her occasions. Okay, baby, I'm doing a presentation. Sorry, guys. Next slide, please. I think she heard her name and walked in. Again, so benefits to moms and babies for breastfeeding. I talk a lot about the uterus shrinking. So they're going to feel a lot of like uterine contractions during breastfeeding. So I talk about how when you're breastfeeding, the body's saying baby's out of my tummy, upstairs eating at the breast, everything that's stretched out for 9 months is now slowly cramping back down. So moms are going to be like, oh, that's what I'm feeling. If they haven't noticed it, they may feel that in their bodies as you mention it, which help kind of ties everything back into, together for them. I talk about protection of allergies. I also talk about jaundice. A majority of our kiddos have a little bit of jaundice. So I do talk about how breastfeeding acts as a natural laxative. It'll help with that meconium passage to help reduce jaundice levels. So just know that that's a good option to go to too. Next slide, please. Skin to skin. So yes, I don't know if a lot of the sites that we're at are baby friendly. I'm pretty sure they are. But just in case you aren't, one of the recommendations is baby going to skin shortly after delivery. And yeah, allowing the baby to kind of soothe right next to mom's breast. They can regulate the temperature, heart rate, and blood sugars. It also enhances bonding. Special moments. So you can see my husband and me with our littlest at the very bottom. And then if you guys don't already know, learn your hospital's policies. A lot of the times they switch it up based off of the type of delivery. So vaginal deliveries, most babies are going straight to chest. Some C-section deliveries might not do it based off of mom and baby. So just learning that piece usually helps out. Next slide, please. And then benefits of skin to skin. One of my first teaching moments on this discussion today is going to be talking about what we hear from mommies. Some moms do not get the opportunity to do skin to skin right away, and they feel like they've lost out in the moment. I think because they have different expectations when they deliver, I think allowing them to understand, like, it doesn't mean that you can't do skin to skin in another period, right? If the baby doesn't latch, oh my gosh, my baby didn't latch, we didn't do our first feed. Skin to skin can just be skin to skin. The baby doesn't need to latch. The baby has time. You could do it at any point, really. And we usually talk about hand expression, just expressing a handful of droplets in the baby's mouth usually helps out. I think they automatically expect like, oh, my baby's going to pop out. I'm going to have enormous amounts of milk. Not the case. So I think just providing that realistic expectation and knowledge base will definitely help with that way. I always try to include partner as well. Skin to skin time with the partner if mom is unavailable, like I mentioned earlier, she had a C-section and she just had a rough delivery and is unable to hold the baby. Partners are able to get in there. As a picture of my husband with I can't remember which child this is, with one of my little ones. We were able to do skin to skin shortly after delivery while they were getting me up to use the restroom. So those are always great teachable moments, and just, reassuring them that if they miss that first opportunity, like they hoping they were going to get, that there are always moments of opportunity later. Next slide, please. Rooming in benefits. Years and years ago, when I first started at St. Mary's, I worked on baby friendly. And so prior to that, those babies were all going to the nursery. That's when we had the windows open and people would see the babies in the nursery and be like, oh my gosh, you have 20 babies. Well, we did away with those during baby friendly. So babies can stay in the rooms with moms. So some moms kind of, question the process and why can't my baby go to the nursery? Now, depending on your hospital, it may vary. But typically we recommend that moms and babies stay together. So that parents can learn the feeding cues. A lot of the time studies have shown that moms, unless they're like super tired, don't really have good sleep when the baby's in another room. So we usually try and get families to stay together so that parents, especially new parents, can learn the baby's feeding cues. They're able to comfort the baby a lot quicker than we can in the nursery. And studies have also shown that allowing the baby skin to skin or at your chest or trying to breastfeed actually increases the milk supply. So we can utilize those pieces. Next slide, please. And I'm sure, okay, so another teaching moment, I know majority of your hospitals have this awesome flyer. I know the PCs give out this flyer afterwards to talk about feeding signs or feeding cues that your baby's giving out. Because the late sign of feeding cue is a crying baby. So we always try and incorporate this. And then just using this as the teaching point. At Cedars, we have it posted on the wall. So I literally like point to it when I'm doing their presentation. I think Miller's, I think we have it on a little reel that's left at bedside or in the room so that they're able to identify it. And then this is where we can talk about this allowing baby, or recognizing the signs of feeding cues can help establish your milk supply, prevents engorgement. And I think it, allows them to practice before they go home of how to identify if their little ones are hungry. Next slide, please. Making milk. So I usually just like to put up a picture of some of our milk supply at the very beginning. So milk production is regulated by demand and supply. The more the baby goes to breast, it increases your supply. So we talk about liquid gold at bedside. A lot of the times, again, parents are expecting like, oh, the baby just popped out. I need like gallons and gallons of milk. My body's going to do that. And I'm like, that's not going to happen. So normal to kind of explain this, I talk about colostrum being almost thick like honey. So it's very small amounts that are a little more potent than, mature milk. Even if they're just breastfeeding in that small period, it's like everything that they can do in that phase to kind of get their supply started. So we talk about noticing. So a lot of parents are like, I may talk about this a little later. They might say, I don't have enough milk. Well, you do, because the baby doesn't need that much. And then they also might see the colostrum and not expect it to look like that. So they might, not understand that that is considered milk. So we talk about transitional milk at day 3 to 5. You might start to see a little, and this is typically where the HLs come in. You might see them at bedside where there's a transition in the breast milk. They may see more like a clear and opaque type of milk coming out when they're hand expressing. Just letting them know it's normal. Ideally, a lot of the information I'm going to give you today is things that you're already seeing at bedside, normalizing it for the mom, because what they're experiencing or what they're expecting might be different than what's happening, but knowing that that's normal, I think is, I find that moms find that more reassuring than anything. So if you don't walk away with anything today, I hope you at least take that piece. That normalization is key at bedside. Next slide, please. Oh, and then I talked about it. Normalizing what they're seeing and experiencing is a great teaching moment. So like I mentioned, having little ones and being in the lactation field was amazing because I was able to take pictures of exactly what was going on. So here on the pictures on the left, you'll see Frankie actually showing feeding cue signs. And then she gives me the really mean side eye because she was like, I don't know if you missed that, Mom, I'm hungry. So just normalizing and then kind of using the teaching moments when you're there with the patient, I think is helpful, helping them realize it, especially if they don't know what they're looking at and they just wait for that crying baby to be that indicator that breastfeeding needs to happen. Next slide, please. Oh, and you guys definitely probably going into these periods. So anticipatory guidance. So the second night is real. So at Cedars, I am a night lactation consultant. So I see a lot of this. Crying moms, crying babies, crying dads, because they're like, what is going on? What happened to that quiet baby on night number 1? Pretty normal. I talk a lot about like babies pooped and peed. Well, I talk about like delivery, right? We talk about baby being in the same delivery as mommy, being upside down in that length of time. So baby's going to be naturally tired. Baby's also born full of poop and pee. So you're not really hungry if your belly's kind of full. And so night number 2, they probably had poops and pees and now their tummies are empty and they are hungry. So wanting to go to breast more frequently. Cluster feeding starts now. So I think these are amazing touch points that we can utilize when we're educating families to let them know this is normal and it doesn't last forever, right? I usually say, okay, night number 2, night number 3, we'll expect the same thing where the baby's going to want to eat frequently, but don't freak out because your body's going to start responding. You're right. Catherine, you put it in the chat. Moms don't know this. Dads don't know this. I think I had a mom this past weekend. She was like, the baby ate for 5 minutes. and then was done. I'm like, yeah, do it again. So I think again, there's like unrealistic expectations. And again, I think our not to say literature is bad, but I think like people, when they talk about breastfeeding, it's sunshine and rainbows and they're expecting that and it's not. And then they're frustrated. I'm like, it's normal. That's why I work, because I know all these babies don't do this. That's why there's people there to help you. So that's, also a touch point to say like, we're there to help you whenever you need it. But this is when you can reassure them. And then next slide. At the very end, I talked about count poops and pees. We're going to be counting these poops and pees from these babies. Never thought they would be doing this, but taking that opportunity, especially for the parents who've never seen what meconium looks like. Yeah, taking that opportunity to say it's going to look like Play-Doh coming out. It's going to be dark, and just giving them those expectations or, what to look out for, I think helps out. We always hear at bedside, how do I know my baby's getting enough? Right. Referring back to the charts that we have. I think this is my first, oh no, it's not my first hospital reference point, but check out your protocols. Typically, I know most sites have this where you have a pee and poo counter. The nurses are going to want to know how often they fed when the baby's pooping and peeing. So reemphasizing like why they need that can also help reassure them how to find out if their baby's eating enough. I know there's amazing apps that are out there lately. I don't usually have a recommendation. All I say is, whatever you can find that's going to document how long you fed for, which breast you fed on, how many poops and how many pees. That's going to help give everyone reassurance. Some dads are like, oh, I have it all in my head. I'm like, okay, I'll come check on you guys at 3 a.m. You tell me if you remember that stuff. So just reemphasizing like why we do the things that we do at the hospital also helps out. Oh, I always remind them to look from the 24-hour mark, because they can say like, oh, the baby hasn't pooped all day. I'm like, well, from when? He's like, oh, 8 o'clock this morning. Well, I'm like, well, it's only 10 and we have a full 24 hours of time. So just reminding them that time frame is 24 hours. In this period, I don't think we'll feel like fullness or softness. We might in C-sections, like fuller or softer after a feeding. But for our postpartum home visitors in here, that's a good way to indicate it. Audible swallowing may happen at bedside, depending on, if mom's milk supply is up. It usually sounds like a k sound, like a k, or like a gulp. Gulps typically don't happen until later, but it will sound like a k sound. So teaching parents is pretty cool, because they'll be really quiet and they'll listen for it, and you guys will hear it and they'll be really excited when they can identify it together. I feel like I've done a lot of talking. Does anyone have any questions so far? Anything that they thought of? Any funny stories? Okay. Jump on in when you guys do. Okay, next slide, please. Mom's experience. Again, I talked about normalizing what she's feeling. She's going to be tired. Her breast may feel quote unquote normal, but also may feel tender. I talk about feeling tender on the sides first, and that's a great indicator. Sometimes I have her kind of palpate her own breast, kind of at the top. It kind of feels like little grapes in the breast, assuming there hasn't been like an augmentation in the past. And then just telling her like those are pockets of breast milk, and teaching her how to hand express, or if she's learned to hand express. Stanford has a really cool video that I typically show. I don't think I'll show it in this time, but I do want you guys to have the link. So when these PowerPoints are shared, you guys are able to do it. Just a heads up, it is a very old dated video, but I really appreciate it because it does a really good job at explaining why hand expression is necessary. The spin is more so for NICU families, but it always helps any mom. So yeah. Hand expression will also be important when you have a mom who's had lengthy labors. So if we're looking at a 24-hour labor, I'm sure she's got some swelling. You can ask her if she's had any swelling in her hands and in her feet. The way I explain it is all of those IV bags go to things that hang. It doesn't automatically leave our bodies. So she may have some swelling in her feet, in her hands, and in her breasts. So one thing she can do is kind of hand express or do reverse pressure softening, which is literally just pushing back on the breast tissue, allowing the retained fluid to go back so you can express the breast milk, is definitely going to help. You can tell her she'll be sweating a lot more and peeing a lot more for all of that fluid just trying to leave the body. A lot of the times, because we have augmented labors, so we're going to have moms with who labor down, you know, maybe 10 hours and then they decide to push and then it changes into a C-section. Yeah, we get a lot of swelling. Oh, I think Letta's in the chat. Hi, Letta. The optimal way to breastfeed rather than saying recommendation. Oh, okay. So the term might be optimal way. I like that. I might start using that, Letta. Thank you. So just going back to this, just kind of allowing the moms, because I know a lot of the times they are not comfortable with breastfeeding in front of people and may feel awkward. Letting her know that I'm pretty sure a lot of the sites or hospitals are allowing visitors back in, and I'm sure you guys feel it when you're enrolling families at bedside. I'm seeing a lot of head nods. If they need, usually what I tell them is like, if the baby needs to eat and you guys need me to be the bad guy or ask people to leave so you can feed your baby, ask me to come back in and I can ask people to step out. Because, you know, some parents don't feel comfortable asking everyone to leave and then the baby's hungry and then this whole thing starts. We're like, oh, your baby's crying. Let's get a bottle. Well, you didn't give her the opportunity to breastfeed and she's a little uncomfortable. So I always give them that option to see if I can help intervene or allow them that opportunity to feed with me and ask people to step out if they need to. Just allowing her to practice, letting her know that, you know, as baby's learning, she's learning. Even, you know, I know this could be more so for our first time parents, but a lot of our first, second time, third time mommies didn't breastfeed or didn't get a chance to with their first little ones. So, you know, allowing them to understand like that, this may feel weird. You've been doing like, you know, I do some hand expression for some moms and like, oh my gosh, you're so good at that. Well, I'm like, well, I've been doing it for some time. This is your first time doing it. So just kind of, you know, labeling things as they are, just letting her know that this is normal is helpful. Being patient. We talked about breastfeeding or uterine cramping, and that's normal. Also reminding her to take her pain medication. A lot of moms want to tough it through, but just let her know, like sometimes if I'm having a mom who's really sensitive, either in the breast or just had a really lengthy labor, I let them know, I'm like, when's the last time you had some pain medication? If they can't identify the last time they had pain medication, it's probably time for them to have pain medication. I let them know to hang out for about 30 minutes and then they can do some feeding, or just identifying it sometimes helps them too, to know that, you know, like as I mentioned earlier, letting them know like as you breastfeed, you may feel some cramping. It doesn't last forever. It's just really heavy in the first period, like right after labor. It should subside by the time you get home. I think is a good way just to help them identify what's going on with their bodies. Also kind of reassures them to know that breastfeeding is going in the right direction. Also, not sure if your sites have NICUs, but if babies and mommies are separated, hand expression is also good to know. So like I mentioned, the Stanford link at the bottom also has a great video on how to teach a mama how to hand express using the Marmot method, similar to the pictures that are right on top, kind of fingers about an inch back from the nipple, the base of the nipple, and kind of compressing back towards the chest and pulling forward. So if you guys get a chance, take a peek at that. I know some sites, some hospitals also do skills labs. So if you can, or meet with your lactation team to help you out if you want to be able to kind of visually see it, that might help out. Next slide, please. I always find this funny. So it's the only position she'd be happy to feed, or she's happy to feed. Moms do that. So it's just really funny. Because I think obviously at bedside, we're not doing this, but if you breastfed before and you have toddlers, like this could be it. I remember my kids like coming over my shoulder and like awkward feedings, or like I call it the drive-by feeding, where they come and you're sitting at a couch, they do a breastfeed real quick and they run and do out and your boobs hanging out. So that's real, but it's funny. So hope you enjoy that, because I always like that one. So if you guys want to take like a 30-second break, I'm happy to like kind of give you guys a pause. Wanted to see if anyone had any questions so far. Is my pace okay? Can you guys hear me okay? Cool. Also, the next couple of things I'm going to talk about a lot of positioning things. So if you guys don't, oh, great. Thank you, Joanna. If you guys have like I know looks like a lot of you guys are in office today. If you guys want to do some positioning stuff, you can pull out a baby doll or just kind of make mental note. It sounds like a lot of us in here are lactation educators, so you guys know the spiel. But if you wanted to practice it, feel free to grab a baby doll, a towel, whatever you got.
Lynette, I think there was
yes.
a question.
Oh yeah.
Did you want to ask your question? No questions? I thought I saw a hand raised.
Yeah, I have a question. Thank you. Do we get the PowerPoint slide, Lynnette?
No, you don't. I'm just joking. You do.
Okay, thank you.
You do. I think this is also recorded too, so we can share with coworkers who didn't get a chance to be here today. And yeah, we'll share. I shared our PowerPoint presentation with Jennifer. And yeah. And if you guys find this helpful, you want me to come to your site, ooh, I think I'd be willing to do that too. So just let me know. Okay, so quick break, quick stretch, quick non-PowerPointy stuff. So are you guys okay if I just kind of power through and then if we get done, we get done, or you guys can ask questions later? Cool. Okay. Are we doing on time? Oh, we got time. Position and latch. The reason why we talk about position and latch is to make sure that mom understands at bedside what a good latch should feel like, right? A lot of the times they think, oh, I'm going to tough through it. I always ask them on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the worst, what is your nipple pain? Like, what do you feel like when baby's latched? A lot of the times, do you guys get a variation? Or like a mom's like crying right away? When she's crying right away and it's a 5 and above, obviously we need to make sure that the latch is in, like we discuss the latch, or you guys can do a referral to the LC, because I think baby's gotten attached wrong and it just continues to go that way. I do always recommend that they understand that, like, if they're thinking of that scale of 1 to 10, a 1 to a 2 to a 3 is pretty normal. Our breasts aren't used to having little vacuums on us, right? So knowing that that's normal, I just don't want her getting to the point where it's a 5 today and then tomorrow it's a 6, and by the time she goes home it's an 8, and then the breastfeeding journey is done for her. So just kind of jumping on top of it. And if you're finding that she's latching this kiddo and her toes are curling and she's telling you she's fine, she's not fine. So just kind of calling it for what it is, I think is helpful. And then just giving them that knowledge base, I think is helpful too. We want to make sure the babies get enough breast milk. One of the things I put on here, did I talk about it? I think it's in the next couple of slides. I talk about like what your nipple should look like after a feed. It shouldn't look like a lipstick wedge. I kind of talk about that being like, if you're going and you're drinking from a straw and you're biting the straw, you're not getting as much of the drink as you should. We don't want these babies biting on these mommies and the mama's nipples feeling like they're going to fall off. So just trying to address it ahead of time, supporting her in understanding what it should look like or when to vocalize that it's not feeling right, I think is good. Questions that come up when this happens, because usually when I'm helping latch, I set up the pillows. I want her to know. The questions that come up are like Bobby versus Breast Friend versus I don't know what other new pillows are out on the market right now. They may ask you what your preference is. And honestly, I don't have a preference as long as the baby's supported. So ideally, I'm telling her, as long as, like, if a pillow's working, that's great. If a blanket is working, that's great too. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Jennifer. So the PowerPoint is on the, will be shared a little later, and then the link will too. So pillows, so if she wants to use a blanket, they don't have a blanket, they have towels, whatever they have, like baby doll, pillows, whatever. Ideally, I want the baby to come to her versus her down to the baby. A lot of the times we talk about moms that have like strained neck muscles or their arms hurt. So anything that's going to bring the baby kind of level. And then obviously if she's signing up for Welcome Baby, she's going to get a boppy, right? Or some of those like home visitations are able to provide that too. That could be a selling point, but just allowing her to know, like, anything that we can. I don't know if anyone's taken the UCSD program. I think Jenny Baker calls it a pillow table, which I still call it a bedside. we want to bring the baby up to her. So it doesn't really matter what kind of pillow you have, but it's always helpful, right? Next slide, please. This is another video that I usually show mommies about the different positions. I won't show it here, but that will be open to you guys afterwards if you want to take a peek at it. Next slide. I don't know if this is gonna work. Can we do a quick quiz time? Because I know majority of everyone in here is a lactation educator. Just really quick. And then Jennifer, I think we talked about it. I don't know if you guys are able to do it. Are you guys able to go into the tab to annotate the PowerPoint presentation? Anyone's able to go to the top, say view options and annotate, and go to stamp and pick whatever marker you want. I'm going to pick a question mark.
Lynette, perhaps you want to provide an example of the stamp?
Sure. So I'm going to do a question mark. My first question is, can anyone identify a laid back hold? So I'm not going to give the answer right, but I'm going to be able to like kind of put my little marker there. Is everyone able to do that? Quiz time.
Yeah.
So laid back hold. Ooh. Thank you guys. Great. So I see the circles, I see the hearts. This is a laid back hold. A lot of the times this is what's being taught at bedside, especially like after a C-section or shortly after labor. And one of my favorite holds, especially if mom has really good milk supply, sometimes like the milk comes rushing down. So this helps in overactive letdown. Thank you guys. Just see if I can delete these. Oh, wait. I'm gonna go back.
I think.
Oh, clear my drawings.
Yeah, I can clear it on my end.
Oh, cool. Thank you. So if we want to take the stamper again and then go ahead and identify what a cradle hold is. Great. I'm seeing a majority of it in the right place. Oh, I like the line. Thank you. That helps. Okay, that's right. So the bottom left-hand corner is our cradle hold. So a lot of the times, one of the things that I talk about is like, this is what's in every book, every movie, every mommy's holding this position. This is one of the harder positions to do actually with a newborn. Although I like this hold, especially for bigger ones, this is one that I teach them how to do, but at bedside, if they've never breastfed before, they're having difficulty, I like to use ones that are more like the cross cradle or the football holds. And then if we want to just quickly, are you able to delete it, Jennifer? Thank you. And then just lastly, can we identify, let's do my favorite hold at bedside, the football hold. Awesome. You guys are experts. I love it. Preaching to the choir. And that's exactly right. So using the pillow tables to kind of help get them in this hold is ideal. This is very helpful. Okay, Liliana, I see your question. What would you recommend a pregnant mom who's also feeding a 9-month-old? Milk supplies drop from 28 ounces to 18 ounces due to hormones. She's pumping regularly at work, staying hydrated, taking brewer's yeast. She's talked to a doctor, lactation. They say it's pregnancy hormone. She hasn't been able to increase her supply since she got pregnant. Tell her that's pretty normal. She can do some pumping with that. Is she exclusively breastfeeding? Has she gone to supplementation? Wait, did I read that yet? Or Liliana, are you able to go off mute? Oh, I can't hear you. I see your mouth moving.
Can you hear me? Okay.
I can. Hi.
Yeah, she was
Hold on.
exclusively breastfeeding and then started supplementing a bottle a day.
Yeah, I think it's just kind of a variation. Like we have some moms that are able to like beautifully breastfeed the whole time. And then some also have that drop. Was there any other factors? Okay, you're saying she went back to work. She was doing Brewer's yeast. Could it have been a time where her period came back too? Oh wait, she can't because she's also pregnant. Just joking. Yeah, we do see a lot of changes in hormones. So that's one of the things that we talk about. She could also do some pumping extra, almost as if like baby was a newborn again. So putting baby to breast and then pumping afterwards. At 9 months, we find these babies kind of have really quick feeding periods, right? So they go to the breast. I kind of like, I talked about it earlier, like that drive-by feeding. So they are really efficient at pulling out that milk and they're like, okay, I'm cool, I'm gone. And so her body still has a lot of milk in there. So it's telling the body like, oh, I don't need that much. So sometimes we kind of see the body regulate that way. So in having a pump session after that feeding session helps to ensure that the body is still maintaining that supply. So I don't know if that'll help, but usually it's like increasing her pump sessions. I wouldn't recommend taking anything else, especially while she's pregnant. Unless she, wants to chit chat directly with us, we can do that. I also have a link to, not a link, but she can also download, I'll talk about this a little later, LacMed. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. It's an app that she can download that talks about medication that she could be taking, because I'm thinking like domperidone, but I don't know what the cross-reference is if she's actually pregnant and breastfeeding and taking domperidone. So maybe we can talk offline a little bit because I'd like to kind of dig into that one a little bit longer. Thanks, Liliana. Yeah. Okay, Jennifer, next slide. You guys are amazing, by the way. I love that I can go into this room and everyone knows what a cross cradle is. It's amazing. So position and latch, again, preaching to the choir, just reminding mommies, like one of the things that we talk about is doing a C hold for not only her breast, but also the baby's back of the head. I know a lot of parents like don't want to grab the baby. And I'm like, well, the kid's not going to go to the breast themselves. So you have to encourage them. And kind of holding the baby firmly in the very beginning is definitely going to help. Got it. So one of the things is stroking the nipple, the nipple to the upper lip to have that mouth open. And one of the things I always try and reemphasize to mom, I think moms think like when the baby opens their mouth, it's going to be this big, ginormous mouth for like, a good like 2 minutes. It's a very quick feed. So I don't have any other pretty way to say it. I tell her to ram the baby on. I'm like, it's quick, just get the baby on really quickly. The bigger the mouth, obviously, the wider the baby's mouth is. And there's some things that we can do where mom can push a little pressure on the baby's chin to open up the mouth more. That's definitely going to help out, kind of avoid biting on the nipple. So when moms talk about nipple pain, it's usually because the baby, Jennifer, are you able to have me highlighted? I don't know if people can see me, because one of the things that I really like to do is use my hands when teaching. Am I making it more difficult? Can you guys see me? Yeah. Okay. So I always show parents, this is the nipple, or this is the breast, this is the nipple, and here's baby's mouth. When the mom talks about nipple pain, it's because this baby's just latched onto the tip of the nipple, and all of our nerve endings are right around the tip of the nipple. What I need the baby's mouth doing is farther back onto the, gosh, I'm sorry, that's like horrible because there's nothing. But I want the baby's mouth farther onto the breast. Actually, let me do this. I have my breastfeeding model with me that I take. Okay, here's my boob. Here's the baby's mouth. When the babies are latching and the moms are feeling a lot of pain, it's just because the baby's a little shallow on the latch. I need the baby's mouth here. And I hope everyone can see that. One of the things that we can do while the baby's feeding, if the latch is kind of good, but mom's still having a little bit of pain, is telling her to add a little pressure on the jaw to drop the mouth down to get the baby on farther. And that's easily done by pushing a little pressure on the chin, opening the mouth, and getting the baby farther onto the breast. And if she's still experiencing a lot of pain after like really getting the baby on deeply, she can or I think we can do a referral to lactation to help out with that support. Thank you, Jennifer. Okay. Oh, I don't know why I just pushed the button thinking I had control. Thank you. Positioning and latch. If the baby's not latched well, then you can always break the suction and then get the baby on deeper. Always remembering to break the suction. We still have moms like just yanking these babies off the nipple, causing that direct nipple pain. So it's kind of a basic picture, but encouraging moms to break the suction, even if she's like baby's already unlatching, still practicing it, because I want her to kind of get in the groove of unlatching the baby. Signs of a good latch are fish lips. Sometimes I will show them what a fish lip looks like on myself. Like I want the baby's mouth nice and big, so I do that with my mouth when talking. I talk about the tongue over the gum line. And then again, the nipple should come out round afterwards, and then you should see visible signs of swallowing, and then potentially audible sounds as well. Next slide, please. Again, this is my favorite one. I don't have enough milk. So this kind of goes back to the hand expression, that suckling is definitely going to help stimulate that making of the milk. The hormones will tell the body to release that milk, and moms will do that. Fun fact is that most moms don't know that your milk supply comes out of multiple parts on your nipple. Neither do dads. They think it looks like a bottle topper. So I always like asking them that, or when they notice that, I let them know like, oh, colostrum is going to come out of different parts of your nipple. And it's just a fun fact at 3 a.m. in the morning. Next slide, please. Making enough milk. I don't know if everyone has belly balls or pictures of bellies. Do you guys all carry that on your badges? No. If you guys don't have them, usually it's just a picture of what each belly size should look like to reemphasize why we do small amounts of milk, and that the colostrum is enough to kind of fill the baby's belly. I have a couple extra, but I would probably, I guess maybe a research moment is also seeing if your hospital has one. So you guys are all saying the same things. I know typically on the unit, you see, multiple nurses carry the same one that the hospital provides. Check and see if you guys have one. And if you don't, let me know and I can help facilitate, provide you guys with some. They're just really like, ideally, it's just printed pictures in color with the size, and then we cut it to the shape of your badge. But we're happy to share that too. And yeah, I just like the visual piece, because I think, again, many people think I'm going to get like the picture at the very bottom, that 1 month amount of milk is going to come oozing out of my body shortly after I get the baby out of my tummy. Not the case. So I think reemphasizing that normalcy is going to help mamas. Next slide, please. I usually let them know what to expect at day 5 to 14. You let them know. I think you guys are really good at like explaining, like you have a pediatric visit in the next couple of days. Your baby should get back to birth weight by the 2nd week of age. I think, again, normalizing it for the mama is going to help out. Also providing this anticipatory guidance is going to help them like in their brain, like, oh, she said that was normal. I'll expect to do this. I also left it in there for our home visitors that may be in here to, reemphasize the education that we're providing at home. Next slide, please. Growth spurts, my favorite. And you guys are probably going at bedside when this is happening, when they're just like frazzled. It's that day 2, day 3, my baby's eating all day. I'm not getting any sleep. So we talk about these babies are hangry, because again, the poop and pees come out, they don't know how to get to the breast and they're wanting to go. And then they're pulling the babies off at 15 minutes. I'm like, okay, so we need to go a little longer. One of the things that we talk about is noticing the baby's body language at bedside. Every baby eats with a little fighter fist, and you pull their arm and they got a lot of tension in their arm. And when they're full, it's a literally food coma arm where you can pick it up and kind of put it down. It's okay to wake up the baby while the baby's feeding is what I usually recommend. I let them know, I'm like, I know you know that the baby's really cute when they're sleeping and you like to stare at them, but if you stare at them, that feed's going to be 6 hours long. So please wake up your baby. One of my go-tos is, taking the baby's clothes off being up next to mommy. I know a lot of grandmas get a little nervous at that point and they want to cover up the baby, and you can throw a blanket over the two of them, but just letting her know like it's warming up the baby and the baby's more likely to fall asleep. I also use a cold wipey to help wake up baby, kind of on the side of the neck or on the face, to kind of help the baby keep realizing like, oh, it's my job to keep eating. So that'll kind of help during a growth spurt and kind of empower the parents like to know what's normal. My dogs are about to bark because my male lady's here. So giving you a heads up. Next slide, please. And I know this is like the meat and pieces of the questions that have popped up for you guys, but when to get help by a lactation consultant. So a little while ago, and this is Aiden, when he was admitted shortly after delivery, his bilirubin was so high. Even though I'm a lactation consultant, I still didn't produce enough milk because of my lengthy labor. So he was under phototherapy. He's my little chubby monkey in there. But the bilirubin, it's definitely going to help. So as much as we can pump, one of my recommendations is offering breast milk before we offer the formula supplementation and normalizing it. A lot of the times moms are kind of stuck on the idea of all I'm going to do is breastfeed, which is great. Try as much as you can. We're going to do as much as we can. We're going to preserve your milk supply. We'll get you a breast pump. If she truly doesn't have enough milk supply to help this, like say she had an augmented labor and she is so edematous, doesn't have any expressible milk, she's really lacking and she can't get enough milk for the baby, sometimes we do have to talk about weight loss or jaundice and how high it is and supplementing. So at that point, I hope she is working with a lactation consultant or even a pediatrician about pros and cons. It's always like, I think for me as the mom who wanted to breastfeed, it was very defeating for me to have to give Aiden a bottle. But putting in my brain, like this is a small portion of time where I'm going to get him to his normal state out of the jaundice, and then I can breastfeed after that. I mean, this little kiddo, after offering a bottle for the like 3 days after labor, he was able to exclusively breastfeed till 2.5. So I think knowing that it's okay, you know, to kind of get past this phase is okay to let them know. But then also kind of going with her, if she's really, you know, stuck on like, no, I have to do this, fine, allow yourself to do it. I'll have the pediatrician come talk to you or whatever. And my hope is that you guys don't have to do this part, but just know that's probably the conversations that are going on when we approach them at bedside. And sometimes they kind of, you know, are throwing a little attitude or whatever, but you know, I think this is helpful just to know like background stuff. Latch issues, again, we talked about latch issues, 5 or higher, needing LC support. Magdalena, you put down, what do you tell a mom that feels like the baby's hungry due to low milk supply? Is this a mom immediate postpartum or like a couple days out? Magdalena?
Say immediate. I usually do hear like some moms that feel like the babies are hungry, so then that's when we want to offer the bottle.
At bedside, right? Yeah. I think just reemphasizing that their tummies are little. Yes, they're going to continue to cry because I think that the crying triggers them, right? No one wants a crying baby, but they need to know that that's normal. I recently had a conversation with the mom. She's like, he's waking up like every 30 minutes. I'm like, yeah, because you put him in a crib and it's cold and he's hugged by everything in your tummy. And then we put him in this nice cold bassinet and you walk away and he's like, where's that heartbeat that I'm used to? So one of the tricks that I do is, you know, allow the baby to go to breast as much as we can. We put baby skin to skin until the baby really falls asleep and then puts the baby in the crib. Because I have so many moms that get excited, like, okay, cool, I'm fed. I'm gonna put my baby here for 2 seconds and then put you in the crib. I'm like, this baby's not asleep enough. So one of the things, Magdalena, is really just waking the baby up, trying to get the baby to the point where he's really full and fed. Skin to skin, doing some burping. And then after the baby's kind of gotten satiated and kind of drowsy state, you can also put the baby back into the crib. But just, you know, reassuring her that this is normal. It's very low milk supply in the very beginning. Because I think, yeah, again, she's wanting milk pouring out of every little hole in her nipple, right?
Yeah.
Thank you for that question. So LCs should be involved already if a nipple shield is used. My hope is that if, you know, mom has inverted nipples, flat nipples, she has support and she's getting that care. LPI babies are babies born at 34 to 36 weeks. A lot of the times there's specific hospital protocol. I've highlighted this one again to see if you guys have certain protocols at bedside. Typically what we see is support that looks like a triple feeding plan where baby goes to breast as much as we can. We do some pumping afterwards and possible supplementation with either formula or express breast milk to get these kids, you know, kind of up to par as far as birth weight or where the weight should be. A lot of the times their little 30 or LPI babies are a little sleepier than normal. So this will definitely help with the less fatigue and getting the baby the sustenance he or she needs. Additional post-discharge follow-up, poor weight gain, painful latch, and soreness after the milk volume has increased. So that could potentially be tongue tie, incorrect latch at the beginning, maybe like continued nipple soreness or nipple like abrasions. Yeah, she should be working with an LC. Next slide, please.
And that before moving forward, there is
Yeah.
one more question
Oh.
in the chat box.
Okay.
Leda asked, usually at how many weeks, months does growth spurts happen?
So we see it usually at the 10 to 14 days. So 2 weeks, 2 months, 3 months. I would say like every 2 months or so thereafter. But typically night number 3, sorry, I don't think I included that one. Night number 3, and then your 10 to 14 day mark is what we'll see immediate postpartum. Thank you. Alternate feeding methods, another research moment, learning what your hospital's policies are and what they support with alternate feeding methods for our moms that really want to breastfeed. Sometimes we can use syringes, cups, spoons to hand express. The cabling is the SNS, and I have an awesome picture of our SNS, one of our moms using. It's pretty labor intensive. So if you have a mom that's kind of on the fence, or if you have a mom that you can tell that they really want to do some breastfeeding, they really want baby to get on, I would maybe talk to the LC about, you know, mom's desire to continue to feed and possibly using an SNS. I wouldn't tell it to mom because I'd want her to get evaluated first. But know that there's alternate feeding methods. I know at Cedars, we pass out a little packet of all of this stuff that mom can use at bedside, minus the SNS. But check out what your hospital policies are so we can help moms, you know, kind of keep in line with what their goals are. Next slide. Pumping. So when moms tell you pumping hurts, it's probably because she has her pump way too high. I have moms that turn up that pump on full blast and they're like, my nipples are bleeding. And I'm like, well, you're not even latching the baby. She's like, oh, it's the pump. I'm like, okay, let's turn on the pump section and just go, thank you. Just turn it on where it's comfortable. What I let her know is whatever's comfortable and not painful is where we want her. And then we have a whole bunch of reasons potentially why moms could be pumping. Separation from baby. Say she had a major surgery after labor, baby needs something going on. History of infertility, diabetes, breast augmentation, small baby. We talked about our LPI babies. Supplementing with formula. I don't know, maybe due to a medical indication. Nipple shield use, lengthy labor, jaundice, history of low milk supply. A lot of the times I'll ask about their history with their previous baby. That'll help give us some guidance. Weight loss of 7% or more, and potential nipple pain. I also put on here, a lot of the times, please note that if early pumping is introduced, it could potentially lead to oversupply and early engorgement. So just watch out what we're seeing with mommies, because sometimes you can put them on a pump early and then the LC is done seeing her. And now by day 3 for a C-section mom, she's fully engorged because she's been pumping the whole time. So, you know, she could ease off of it, but make sure you're recommending that the LC comes back out. Another research moment, check out if your hospital has rentals, what you could do in the meantime. Do you guys have LC support in the postpartum period? And then advocating for the mom. As I mentioned, sometimes the LCs only see them once. You know, advocating for her if she needs additional support. And yeah. Fatima asked if can you share general tips on moms that bring their own breast pumps? Okay, so I think, Fatima, there's actually like rules. Like I got in trouble once at a site. My mom brought in her breast pump. I showed her how to use it, but technically I shouldn't be doing that. So ideally, if mom wants to be pumping, we offer what the hospital has on stock. whether it be a symphony or whatever. And then we can generally educate her on what she can do with her own breast pump, but ideally it's the same like idea. I think it's because of liability that we aren't able to do that. But yeah, we can walk her through it. I think sometimes we have a little bit more time to work on it with her if she's got a baby in NICU, but a lot of the times we won't be able to do that. But like I've had moms, so like I mentioned, I got in trouble for showing mom how to use a Willow. I never did that again. But yeah, I talk about like very normal, like these are the basic things. You're going to put the flange on your breast. Your nipple's going to go straight into the center. As I mentioned before, not turning it up fully. Again, the higher it goes doesn't mean that you're going to get more milk. So I'm sorry. I hope I could answer that question a little bit better, but that's all I got. Obtaining a breast pump, again, it's information on a breast pump. So the Affordable Care Act made it a requirement that all health insurances provide a free breast pump to mom. So I know moms will ask, like, how do I obtain one? So she can call the number on the back of her card or go online. She can go on Anthem and just plug in breast milk or breast pump into Google, and then they should take her to a site where she can go on. Some of these sites require a physician signature that can either be her OB or her pediatrician. But yeah, don't let her pay for it. You know, some people are like, oh, what should I put on my baby registry? I'm like, don't have your cousin pay for that for you. Don't do that because it's provided for you. A lot of the ones on there might not be the ones that they're looking for, but sometimes they have little sections where you pay a little bit more money and then she can get the ones, you know, the fancier ones that she has had her eye on or whatever, but it's like a subsidized price of what she would normally pay at the store herself. Other companies, like most pump companies, have their own like forms. So you can see one that I literally added on here was something, that's my dog choking, sorry. One of the forms on there is one that I've highlighted that I actually use on the unit. It's More Moms from Hygeia. Like what I do is, as a lactation consultant, I have access to the pediatrician, so I can hunt them down and get a signature for them and then fax it in for the mom. And by the time she gets home, she has a pump at her door. So those are really nice to have. Fatima asked, do you recommend a mom to bring her own pump to the hospital since hospital pumps appear to be reserved for special needs? Most hospitals have enough to cover it. If you find that your hospital doesn't, I would probably check with them. Usually I don't have them bring in their own pump. Some moms bring them in, which is fine. Just know that it could be like internal policy where no one can really like show her how to utilize her breast pump. So if it's like one less thing dad has to carry, it's kind of easier that way. Or you can always let her know, like the home visitor can kind of direct her how to use it later on. Obviously, we won't have the home visitor try and touch it and show her how to do it, but they can help walk her through as she's doing it. Also, one point I wanted to make was WIC. If the family has WIC and the baby's in NICU, the baby has priority to get an electric breast pump. So I usually make note of them to go. I ask them which site they belong to. I take down the information. I provide her with a little cheat sheet of all of the baby's information. She takes it back to WIC and she can get a breast pump. So if you don't already have that information with your WIC department, see if they have a list that you can fill out for them or the LC can fill out for them so that mom can just go to WIC. It has the baby's stats is usually what they're collecting and they can show her how to use a breast pump. That's free. Next slide. Sorry, I'm going to talk a lot quicker. I'm almost done, I promise. Learn your hospital's inventory was one of the things. And then also one thing that I like to do as an LC is go to like Target or wherever store, Walmart, whatever store has baby supplies, kind of look around and see what they provide. And I also learn from my patients a lot of the time. So when I had my kids, we didn't have these cute little silverettes. I don't know if you guys have seen them at bedside. I'm sure you do. They just sit on the top of the nipple to kind of promote healing. That's kind of the new thing. So I've seen them like in every patient room that they've already bought their own thing. One of the recommendations is you don't use it simultaneously with nipple cream. Like some moms will express breast milk, put the silverette on, and that promotes healing. Typically, I pass out these Medela shells that both my sites work with to help kind of prevent like the mom's nipple from touching the back of her gown. So she's not peeling the gown away from her sore nipple. But just check and see what your guys' inventory has on site or if they're able to purchase. I've had a mom, again, this is Cedars, I've had a mom do like a DoorDash with items and to be able to pick it up downstairs. So some moms are interesting. If they don't have the supply or if you don't have a store that's open in the middle of the night, that'll help out. So yeah, those are a couple of things. Next slide. Nutrition and exercise, I won't read it through, but I usually don't recommend moms to lose weight right away after delivery, even though I know they want to lose that baby weight. We let them kind of tell her she needs to heal first beforehand, and then she can start talking about it after her 6 to 8 week mark with her physician. Next slide. Lactation accommodations in the workplace. Every job site should be allowing mom time to breast pump and a place to do it. So if she's at a site that doesn't have that already set up for her, you can give her this website attached here. She can print up some paperwork that her HR department can utilize to help them find out what's necessary and what she should be offered. But she should be given time to do some pumping and then a room that's not a bathroom to be able to do express her breast milk. Next slide. Moms want to know what to do when she's ready to go to work. I let them know to plan ahead. Some pumping ahead of time, review pace bottle feeding, kind of come up with a plan with the caretaker. Next slide. Reliable resources. Google is not your best friend in the middle of the night when you're going through some stuff. So we really want to show moms like really evidence-based sources of information. kellymom.com is a really good one that I printed up papers from multiple times that give education that's easy to digest. Medication and breastfeeding. I know we talked about it earlier, but LactMed or MommyMeds is a great app to use. You just plug in the name of the medication and you can see if it's compatible with breastfeeding. Next slide. I know I got like 5 more minutes. A lot of information provided. Check and see what your hospital provides. This is an example at Miller's. I always highlight our outpatient clinic that we have. We also have a warm line where a mom can call in all hours and leave a message and LC will check in with them. And we also have a breastfeeding support group and a nurturing the new group where a lactation consultant comes in at the end of the group and can answer questions that she has. So I know most of the sites have support. So just make sure you kind of take a peek if you don't know them already. Next slide. I think I have like a couple more slides, like 2 more slides. Community support. Obviously, I always pitch Welcome Baby. Hospital-based postpartum support. Miller's, I know we have one. MLK has one. There's others I know I'm not listing. I know at Cedars we have one. WIC, we have peer counselors and lactation consultants on site. La Leche League, CIH, Breastfeed LA. If you guys don't already know, so they have this resource guide where mom's able to plug in her information and then it'll give her lactation resources that are close to her. So always a good resource for her to take home in case, you know, later on, not even in the immediate postpartum period, she could be, you know, a year and a half down the line and find a lactation support near her. Next slide. Other in-person community support groups. There are baby cafes. I lead the Day Day Diner. Again, that's for Filipino mommies. There's Titties and Tea for our Black moms that need support. That is actually in person in Carson. And then the Chi Chi Lounge is our Spanish speaking, also bilingual. It's also in English support group that is in, I believe, downtown LA. And they house them there where you can get hands-on breastfeeding support. They also provide support both sites. So Day Day Diner, Titties and Tea, and Chi Chi Lounge all do it virtually as well. So if moms just, you know, want to come on virtually, but Titties and Tea and Chi Chi Lounge do it in person. So good plug. And then there's other groups like the Lactation Network. She can plug in her insurance information and they can connect her with a lactation consultant that's in her area or can come to her. Cinemoms, Pump Station, Santa Monica. I know I'm not listing everything. Feel free to send me information about ones that you guys regularly use because I know I'm missing a lot. But there's also social media, Facebook and Instagram pages too. Next slide. And that's it. That's Frankie's butt at the end. But here's my information. If you guys have any questions or just want to chit chat about a particular case, I'm happy to do so. I might not respond right away, but I promise you, I am willing to support. And if you have a question, you are, want to pop onto my breastfeeding support group, come on in too. But thank you guys.
Does
I know
anybody have any questions for Lynnette?
I know it's a lot of info.
So I know, our goal is to promote breastfeeding, but sometimes there's moms that are formula feeding, but yet they have a strong willingness to breastfeed. So what are some general tips that you give to the ones that have started giving formula, they want to breastfeed, but they're having challenges? Do you talk about like try to breastfeed first, or what do you say to them?
That's exactly that. So thank you for that. So if you have moms that are just having difficulty, but like, okay, we have to give formula, this is what I want to do, or even if I want a combo feed, right? One of the things that I do is I put baby to breast first as much as we can. Once baby's kind of full or you're over it or baby's over it, we do some supplementation afterwards, and then she can either pump if she wants to preserve her milk supply, and then offer whatever she expresses, or if she just wants to just do breast and bottle with the formula, I always put breast first because we want to make sure baby's emptying it out.
I have a quick question about the
Yeah.
dong peridong.
Sure.
Isn't that's prescription only, correct?
Yes, that is. So she's going to
Yeah.
need to talk to her provider to get that
Okay.
set up. And then they don't do it here, actually, too.
I
There's
know they
also
don't do it here.
websites.
Okay,
So they
that
have to
was
get
my
creative.
question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was able to do it, but I had to order offsite. But I brought all of my information to my provider. I was able to kind of describe what I needed it for, and she gave me the prescription, but I went offline to receive it.
Okay, do you mind if I email you for that?
Yeah.
Or
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Also with that, Latrice, I also recommend that she's working with an LC so we can monitor her milk supply. Are you the LC?
So I am, yes, I am.
Nice.
And
okay.
And we also talked about I had her talk to a lactation consultant. Oh no, I'm sorry, I'm not an LC, I'm an LEC.
Okay.
LES, all the letters. Because I'm trying to be quick, like you were quick.
No, it's okay.
However, her lactation consultant had never heard of it. I had told her to tell her lactation consultant, get some information about that. And so the fact that you mentioned it, I'm excited that you did. And I know you can only get it off-site or in Canada. And
so send me an email. I'm happy to provide some context around that too.
Perfect. Thank you.
Sure.
And can you put your email in the chat? I know you had it up, or you can put it back on that screen.
Okay. Yeah. I'm also on the, I don't know, our listserv. But I'm here. Anyone else have any other questions? I know, guys, I'm running into your time, and I want to be mindful of that.
We do have one more hand raised.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hi, Pati.
Thank you, Lynnette. Hi. I have a question. How could I motivate a client who get help by a lactation consultant? And I believe it's possible tongue tie, because she mentioned like every time she like the baby, it's very painful. And the lactation consultant helping her for 2 days in a row, and she tried pumping, and it caused her newborn. Yeah. And for me, I just stuck right there, because like lactation is the highest person like supporting her, and it's not successful. So how can I best support her at the bedside, like to encourage her not to give up, because client said she give up and she changed to formula feeding.
Okay. I would probably consult with a physician and let her know that mom is in pain the whole time. Also doing another recommendation, because you and I work at the same site too sometimes. So I would probably tell the nurse that you want the pediatrician to do an evaluation on, because it doesn't necessarily have to go through the LC, right? If mom's in pain, she's in pain, you can tell the nurse to give the physician a little call, and you can have the physician come and take a look do an evaluation. I know
For
at
the
St. Mary's in
tongue tie.
particular, all those NICU doctors will come in and do an evaluation on that tongue for the kiddo.
For the tongue. Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you.
And
Thank
even
you.
if we missed her in the postpartum period at bedside, you can always have her talk to her pediatrician afterwards to seek out consult.
Okay. Regarding the tongue tie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Lynnette.
Yeah,
Great.
thank you for advocating for her.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
All right, everyone. Well, if you do have any additional questions for Lynnette, she did drop her email in the chat box. Also, feel free to email me if some questions come up. I can go ahead and forward that question to Lynnette. But please help me give Lynnette a warm virtual round of applause.
Thank you,
Thank you so
everyone.
much for being here. Again, I think you are in this field. You support hospital liaisons. So I think this was a perfect presentation for the perfect audience.
Awesome.
I will be
Thanks, guys.
dropping a link to the evaluation in the chat box. Please go ahead and complete it. It only takes about 2 to 3 minutes. Keep in mind that the last question, we do these webinars for you. Just let us know exactly what you're looking for. That way we can find that perfect speaker for that topic. Thank you all for being here. We will see you all in Q3. But again, Lynnette, thanks so much for being here and presenting for our hospital liaisons. Thanks, everyone.